Alright, welcome everybody. In this screencast, we will continue what we started in the previous screencast, which is available on our AmberCasts website. If you go to the blog section, there's AmberCast number 1, and I'm talking here about setting up a Ruby on Rails development environment using Docker and Docker Compose. In this episode, we're going to continue this journey into Docker and Docker Compose. Since we've built our first application, let's have a look at this application again. It's just a simple scaffold. If I start our Docker Compose, that should be, that's just a simple scaffold to generate, to manage the users. And today we're going to try to deploy it somewhere to Heroku. And you will need a Heroku account. So go here to Heroku.com, sign up. I think there are free versions of applications, and that's what I'm going to use for now. And we will going to use their dedicated Docker deployment solution, which is called Container Registry and Runtime. So normally, historically, Heroku works in a way that you push the Git code base to Heroku dedicated Git repository, and then they take care of building and deployment of the application. This works great for simple Rails applications. It starts to be more and more problems. For example, if you need to install more software on your Heroku dynos, which are their name for their VPS. So Docker actually solves that problem and solves it quite nicely. You build your image locally. So whenever you specify in your Docker file what kind of software you need to be installed on your virtual machines, that is going to be installed locally and it's going to be pushed to Heroku. So everything you want, you can install and just push it. Okay, and also normal Heroku for Rails, they have a limit for the size of what they call slug, which I believe is something like 200 megabytes or something like that. So it's not big. Docker doesn't has this limitation, so you can build as big image as you like and just push it to Heroku and it should run, provided that the application will start within a given time frame. So they still have a limit on application boot time. Okay, I think we got the theory out of our way, so let's do some practice. We have our project, which now is all in JIT. In the web app is our Rails application. Our Docker Compose file here is just a simple file. In order to slightly customize our production build from our development build, I'm going to go with a solution that we're going to have 2 Docker files. So I'm going to keep this one Docker file we have now already, and I'm going to use it for production. And I'm going to create a special file for development. So I'll just copy over. And I'm going to edit my Docker Compose YAML file to point it to a new Docker file. I should still be able to start it up. Docker Compose app. Here we go. And that should still work as expected. Yeah, that works. That's great. And we need to slightly modify our Docker file for production. First thing first, it doesn't run. It doesn't allow you to run anything like any processes as root, so we can kiss our init goodbye. It's not gonna work. However, we're not gonna need it here. We're still adding user, gem file. That all still looks good. We need to build our assets. So okay, that should do it. And we also need to specify a command to start our web server. That should do it. Okay, let's try and see whether that works. Docker container registry for Heroku comes in the form of plugin that we have to install. It says I'm already installed, which is good. Docker container login. It's going to log into their container registry with my Heroku credentials. And we need to create our application. And let's call it Rails and Docker template. Okay. We also need Postgres, so I'm gonna use it. How do I install Postgres? I think it's create. I have to double check it. Heroku Postgres. How do we do it? How do we do it? How do we do it? Ah, here we go. Nice of them to put it here. Add-ons create, and that's gonna create a free add-on for Postgres, and it's setup database URL environment variable. So we need to configure our application to respect that. Config database YAML. So for production, just take the configuration for database from the database URL. And speaking about environment variables, I believe I also have to set up Rails env. Production. And we also need to generate some set. Okay, keybase equals that's a nice one-liner. That should do it for us. Let's have a look. What's our config on Heroku? So we get database URL, Rails env, and secret keybase that we're gonna use in the secrets file. Config secrets, and I think this actually should work from. Yes, it's already configured, so we don't have to change it. Add it back if you removed it before. Okay, that's nice. Okay, what do we have to do now is to push it to Heroku. Let's have a look. How do we do it? Heroku container push web. And it says we have to be in the web app directory. Rails and Docker template. And this can take a few minutes to build because we're doing that the first time. So it runs through the Docker file and installs everything. And then depending on your connection speed, it's going to push it initially it's going to take some time depending on your internet connection, because the resulting image can be quite big. I believe it's about 700 megabytes in my case at the moment. You can obviously shrink it down by uninstalling packages you don't need, or using dedicated distribution that's small, like Alpine Linux, I believe, is quite popular. I'm just going here with the easy solution and push a large image here. Okay, so we got our first problem. It says that unable to access log file and is readable. I believe when we did the last command here in the Docker file, yes, we need to, well, basically it's going to be slightly messed up when you add files. Then you need to make sure that they are owned by the user within the Docker. You can modify it, otherwise they're going to be added there as they're owned by root, which is something that prevents us from building assets. So we add user web app. No, we run it as root. Blah blah. That should do it. And then logging back to the user web app worked here. Okay, that sounds about right. Let's try it again. And now, as you can see, it didn't go through this whole process. It only repeating the last steps. And now it's pushing all of the layers to the Heroku Docker container registry. So you can see it uploads it all there, and then it's going to deploy it. Log files appearing here. Here it goes. Starting process. So it deployed our application and it starts our process, and it failed. I wonder why. What error do we have? Let's scroll up to see. That's quite a lot of stack trace here. It says database YAML syntax error while parsing database YAML. Okay, I think I messed up the database YAML configuration. Yes, obviously I did. So the indentation matters. Let's build it again. Deploy. That should be way quicker than before now. So as you can see, it just pushes the last layers, and then it says all of the other layers already exist, but it checks nevertheless whether they are being uploaded correctly. And now it should deploy. Let's have a look. Okay, the deployment should start now. Here you go. It starts the process with command. Bundle exec rails. That looks good. It looks like it started. Let's see whether our application works. Yes, we don't have any root page. We have users, which says something went wrong, and something is because something went wrong because we didn't run migrations, and normally we just run it like normally on Heroku. That's Rails and Docker template. Okay, the migrations were run. That looks good. And let's see. Yeah, our web application looks fine, except except it doesn't serve any CSS, this doesn't look correct. Let's fix that. I think there's a configuration option somewhere here to Rails serve static files, and we need to set this configuration option in Heroku. Config set for something that's probably one or true. Here we go. Rails serve static file set to true. Let's reload it. It's restarting the app at the moment, I believe. Oh, that's way better. It's coming with the first. Let's add the first user. Okay, back. Okay, that sounds fine. So we successfully deployed our Docker-based application to Heroku, and yeah, we can enjoy using Heroku. In the next episode, I'm going to show you how to deploy your Docker Compose based project that can consist of one or more than one applications to a normal server, dedicated or virtual server using Docker built-in tools. So you don't have to deploy to Heroku. It's just a convenience that I like to use. But we're going to also learn how to deploy it to, say, AWS. So stay tuned and see you next time. Thank you. Bye.